It's Monday, coming at you live here at Inside Production Studios in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Robert Morales, and I'm here with my esteemed co-host, Miss Ashley Miller. Please welcome.
Hello, everyone. It's Monday.
Yeah, it is Monday. It's another manic, crazy Monday. So for the next 15 minutes, we're going to be bringing you the most up-to-date information about the Phoenix housing market, kind of what's happening, and a little bit of confidence in this market. Wouldn't you say, Miss Miller?
Confidence is keys.
So the show is about finding our confidence in the market today and trying to figure out how to best serve people out there.
Exactly. Do you mind if I run through some quick stats that I pulled for March?
Hold on one second.
Oh,
so
okay.
before you pull out some stats in March, go ahead and hit that like button because we like the likes. If you love the hearts, if you love what we're doing, give us a little bit of a love emoji. And if you're on YouTube right now, hit the subscribe button because, you want to watch us all the time because we're just
crazy
like that. Yeah. Also, click the little thumbs up on YouTube too. That helps the algorithm. Helps us help you, help us help each other. So, hello, Miss Miller. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome.
I know you're eager to bring those stats and you want to just bring the information to all these people. So maybe we just start off there. You go, girl.
Well, one of the things when we discussed confidence is confidence in this market. So I have our stats from March that I want to share real quick. And although they might be a little scary, being able to have that knowledge and educating yourself, whether you are a consumer, investor, real estate agent, anybody people need to know if you're looking to buy or sell. If you own a home, rent a home, I'm just going to go on and on. But so right now, active listings, 7.2%. We are down. As of March of 2020, last year, we were at 10,481. This year, we're at 3,021 in Maricopa County. That's killer. It's killing. It's killing me. But our sold listings are up 11.4%. So last year, they were at 7,300. This year, they're 8,200. So that gives me some confidence. The average median price has definitely gone up to 21.4%. So with that being said, somebody like me who's a homeowner loves that with no intention to sell because that means I have an increase of 20% equity in my property. And they say that 83% of our retirement comes from the equity in our property. So I'm really happy about that number.
Do you think people are afraid to sell right now because of COVID and uncertainty in the market and all that stuff?
I think there's a mixed review. So one of the things that we were chatting about before we got online was when people do have equity in their property, I think there's two different types of people out there. There are those who are getting older and are going to downsize, and they're going to use that equity for their retirement. And there's the others that are just going to keep riding
the wave.
Yeah.
Well, I still see some people really afraid of the virus. They haven't gotten their shots or whatever yet. And I think the bigger fear is not so much the virus is like, where do I go from here?
Yeah. It's scary. So talking about where do we go from here, I know a lot of people, Robert had sent me an article talking about going back to work. So 1/3 of people are afraid to go back to work. They would actually quit their job before they go back into the office full time for that fear of COVID. Is that going to affect people's ability to purchase a home? Is it going to affect their ability to pay their mortgage? Are people going to take that equity, that extra 21% and sell and move to Montana, which is where I would love to have a second home, but that's a different conversation.
Are you from Montana?
No, but I just love it. So beautiful. and I looked at houses this morning. I was just like scrolling through and I'm going, oh my gosh, what I could get there for what I have here. It's insane. It's absolutely. Why are Californians moving here? Why don't they go to Montana?
What's there to do in Montana?
I don't know. Ride horses, have a ranch, have a farm, like a garden.
Well, if you're bougie like me, then you kind of like pet horses, and you're like, oh shit, where's my hand sanitizer?
But I wanted to ask a question, so I'm going to go back to our Facebook. Yeah, I'm going to ask you first, and I want people who are watching to answer this. One of the questions I have is, if you had the ability to work remote from anywhere in the United States, and you could sell your house right now and get that extra 20% equity, where would you move to?
Would that be me or just anybody?
I'm asking you right now.
Oh, you're asking me, right?
Montana's my place.
I think I'd move back to Denver. I really like that kind of like small town city feel. I mean, the Denver.
Still bougie.
It's a little like yeah.
No horses.
There's a little community called Stapleton in Denver. That's where I lived before, and it's got the newer houses, newer little area. The houses are a little bougie, yes.
Yeah, but Denver's prices are rapidly increasing as well.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So
I gotta
want
make
you
Miller
guys who's
money.
watching, and if you're rewatching, put in the comments where you would move to. I'm very intrigued to see where, if you have the equity, your job would give you the ability to work remote from anywhere in the United States, or gosh, anywhere in the country. If I could work anywhere in the country, I'd go to Costa Rica. Check out the prices there. Sell your house out here and go to Costa Rica. You can get a beach lot for like $34,000.
Don't you have to be a Costa Rican citizen to buy?
I don't know. I would become one.
Oh.
I mean,
we all need island property. You know, at Miller, that's Miller time.
yes, Miller time. And then another one of the questions: would you quit your job if you were forced to go back to work full time during this? I say we're in a COVID downfall because we're slowly getting more comfortable with it. Like the schools are lifting the mask mandate. We can go into the grocery store without them. Would people go back to work full time if they were required to?
I don't know. I saw a news article. Maybe I can pull it up as we go. But I saw like McDonald's was like paying people to come interview with them.
I was just telling Robert. Remember, I was just telling you the story. My son got a phone call. It was from McDonald's. He's 14 years old, and McDonald's called him the day after he put in an application. They need a part-time employee.
Well, this is what sucks about government intervention. And, you know, I don't want to get political. This is about, you know, information and stuff. But when you have government intervening in things like housing and prolongs like natural market cycles, it doesn't help anybody. It's increasing prices, which helps sellers. But, you know, again, where do they go? So in case in point with job applications, people are paying to come to apply for a job. I think I saw something. I'll try and pull it up in a minute. But people aren't going back to work because the government gives them more money to stay at home. Mm-hmm. You know, and why would I go back to work making $15 an hour when I can make $20 just staying home and applying for jobs?
Well, you know, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here because, for example, let's say I'm married and I lose my job and I have children at home, and now it gives me the ability to stay at home. Family comes first, honestly, and I know that sounds really crappy, but I could see people doing that. If they're a dual income house and one of the people is getting unemployment and they have the ability to stay home with the kids, whether the kids are going back and forth to school or the kids are being online school, I'm not going to harp on them for doing it. They're making the best decision for themselves. Is it affecting our housing market? Heck yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out, because we have a lot of access to data and stats being in title, where what's happening with these forbearances and foreclosures? What are we doing?
I don't know. I mean, haven't seen too much of a foreclosure market. You know, you hear rumors and you hear stats all the time about people not making their mortgage payments. You know, and if there was a very real thing, or at least a red flag, maybe an orange flag, is that this weekend when I was out just shopping, whatever, I saw two sets of families out asking for money with, you know, kids like sitting there. And I'm like, and I looked over to Violet, and I'm like, is this kind of what's going to happen? Is this the trend of things to come? I mean, is it really bad for some people out there where they have to stand on the side of the road and beg for money? And what is their overall situation? If they're out there begging for money, that's kind of like, I think, the lowest point in anybody's life.
Very humbling. In
order to do that.
Unless you're a big fat butthead.
Yeah.
And you're taking advantage. That's a very, very vulnerable and humbling thing that you have to do, especially with children.
Yeah, I mean,
could never imagine.
You can pass whatever judgment, say whatever you want, but the reality is somebody was out there, somebody felt compelled enough to go out there, stand on the side of the road. And this is two different families. This isn't just like, oh, I saw one word. There was two different families I was driving around, and they're sitting there with their kids and with a sign saying, you know, I need help. Is that a sign for things to come? I don't know. I mean, I think the media in and itself kind of masks everything. You know, everything that what they want us to see, but there is a very different reality than what we're in the middle of, I think.
Well, and I know with housing market going up, what's also happening is the rental market is going up. So, and I think I may have mentioned this before, is I was renting a townhome while I was waiting for my house to be remodeled, right?
Yeah.
And So I didn't sign another lease. I just went month to month, and they raised it $600. $600. What if I didn't have $600 extra dollars?
Well, who really does?
I mean, that was just, I was like, well, what do I do now? Like, I either have to leave and go find another place, but I couldn't find another place that fit us. And then I would have to pay, like, we'd have to move. And there was just so much that was going on in my head. And I put myself in like another, like, mom's shoes. And I was going, oh my God, like, imagine what's happening to these other people. Like perhaps those people that are on the side of the street, even if there is a dad, maybe he lost his job and she was a stay-at-home mom and now they don't have anywhere to go. I mean, obviously, if they owned a home, I'm assuming they go into foreclosure and forbearance, and they're not really doing anything about that right now. But if you're in a rental, I know that they say, like, oh, when you rent a house, like, they give you forgiveness and you can stay. No, they don't. They do not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, they might give you, month here, month there, but you still have to pay that money back unless they apply for special programs, which a lot of people aren't really familiar in how to get them. And there are some really great programs out there for people like that, but it's not necessarily easy. There's no roadmap to it. And it's very unfortunate. I am fearful. I'm fearful for families that are going through that. And I'm fearful for our children, our next generation, like my kids, like, Cameron's going to be 18 in, 2.5 years and maybe less. And at that point, is he going to stay with me? Is he going to move out with friends? Are they going to be able to afford it? Is there going to be 10 kids in one house? I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't know the word. Makes me, I'm not fearful, but fearful for the people who maybe don't have the confidence or the knowledge. And I think that's what we're talking about, is having the confidence and doing your research.
Yeah. And I just want to, again, reach out to you guys. We're taking questions here live. We're also taking questions on the replay. So if you guys want to, throw in those comments or questions and anything we're doing, anything you want to share, we'll go ahead and take that. If you love what you're seeing, get those little heart emojis out there, because, we definitely love those loves a lot.
I love purple hearts. If you can't tell.
I think there's only red hearts.
No, there's not. I put purple hearts on everything.
Oh, I guess that's in the comments section.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, you mean like heart, like?
Yeah. Look, I'll give myself a heart. Look at this. I guess gave myself 2 hearts.
Oh, I like that heart too.
So I'm Robert Morales here with RC Network and Home Smart with Ashley Mir from Great American Title, talking about the housing market, talking about what things are manifesting and what's really happening here and in the here and now, and talking about confidence and remaining confident. I think the goal for every buyer out there is to hold on just a little bit harder and to remain optimistic, because that's all you really have in this market right now. Unless you have like $100,000 in cash,
extra.
Unless you have a couple $100,000, all you can do is hold on to hope. And you know what? I will say, because I'm in the housing market. I have 5 contracts this month, and I was able to procure one of a purchase agreement. I have the other ones are listings, of course, but I was able to procure a purchase agreement this last week. The contract price was $250 on that one.
Yeah, it was around 2.
No, that was a different one.
That was a different one.
That was my listing.
Was
the one this morning was my listing.
Yeah.
No, but last week I got a purchase contract for $250. And so there is hope for people out there. If you're still looking in the market and still wanting to buy, you have to be strategic. You have to be partnered with an agent or somebody that really knows this market. And, I was a big advocate about not waiving appraisals and not doing inspections. I still think you need to do your inspections, because that is a major thing that you don't want to just waive. Yeah. But, lately I have been kind of loosening up my own, I guess, disagreements about waiving appraisal contingencies. And so
we're all doing that.
I think every deal is doing that. So to remain competitive, you have to come in with a little extra cash and be willing to, throw some extra in there. And part of that is partnering with an agent that does know the market, that can run comps so that they can inform you how much you're going to be spending over. Because if that appraisal comes in at 200, my client knows that they're going to have to come up with the $50,000 plus their down payment plus the closing costs. They're well informed when they do that. And
that's super important. And with going back to what you were saying about the inspection, is okay, now you're already paying $20,000, $25,000, $50,000 over, and all of a sudden the home needs a new air conditioning 2 months in, which could range anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000. Are they prepared for that? I think an inspection, fine, waive the appraisal. If you have the money, you're confident in doing that. But an inspection, there are things that can happen that will really throw you. And then what? And then what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you have equity in your property at this point because.
No, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Before we got on, we were
Yeah.
talking about equity and how that would impact our kids and their kids.
Our future.
You know, and their future. Because I think at the end of the day, you want to pass your home
You
along,
want to leave a legacy.
whether it's the physical home or at least the equity, so you have your kids can, you know, start their lives and have something to grow from.
Yeah.
I think that's always the goal. You know, and how do you do that in this market when you're overpaying for a house in the hopes that, you know, 5, 6, 7 years from now, you'll be able to get that back. And that's not a guarantee.
It's not. And I think that my opinion with overpaying is they need to stay. You need to know that you're going to stay 5, 10, 12. This is not like just you move in for a couple years and then you move out. I mean, I think this type of market, if you're going to buy a house, you're going to stay in the house. That's the only way with ebbs and flows of the market that we're going to actually end up getting our money back, 10 years from now. It's not going to keep rising as fast as it is right now. It's going to plateau a little bit. And we've talked about this. I definitely know that the house that I have purchased, I am going to keep it, and it's going to be something that I will pay off and I will pass down to my children. They can use it as a rental when I'm long gone. I'm going to put a clause in there that they're never allowed to sell it. Can you do that?
Maybe in your will.
I don't know, but
I don't.
I wanted to ask you, Robert.
Oh boy.
No, it's not. It's not a hard question.
Okay, good.
Being a real estate agent
I like easy ones.
And having these stats with people that are not necessarily your clients right now, are you open to anybody calling you and asking you questions like how many houses are in the market instead of going to Zillow, because that's where we all go. I'm guilty of it. A lot of people are guilty of using Zillow. If people just wanted to reach out to you and say, hey, what is the market right now? How many houses are on the market? What does that look like? Is that something that even if somebody's not currently working with you, that you have the ability to give them that information? Of course, if they have another agent, no, you're not giving it away. But no, I'm just kidding.
Hold on. Well, of course, you can call me at 480-528-8486 here at the Morales Real Estate Hotline. Okay, I'm just kidding. That was just a joke. But no, so yes, I mean, people can call. They can call my cell phone. They can call me just about any time. Even when they're working with an agent, I don't really care. You know, at the end of the day, it's about finding a home for somebody. And I've had people call me when they're working with other agents too. And, you know, I will say it does irk me a little bit. It's like, well, if you're calling me, why don't you just use me? But at the end of it, you just
use you, but don't abuse you.
Well, yeah, when they start calling me like over and over and over again, then I'm like, I'm going to have that conversation with them. But anybody can call me anytime and just ask, you know, hey, you know, I'm working with this agent. He's my cousin, which is usually what I get. It's like a family member. They don't want to disappoint them. They don't know the market, but they told them that they would buy their house with them.
Yeah.
Which is completely fine. You know, everybody needs a starting point. Everybody needs a chance to try. You know, I was there too. So I would never take that business away, but I am genuinely got into this business to help. So if you're out there looking for a home and you have questions and you don't necessarily think your agent is providing you the information that's in your best interest or whatever, you can call me and I'll shoot it straight to you. But I will also say, hey, you know, continue to work with this person. And if you don't want to work with them anymore, then you have to have that conversation before I start working with you, because I just don't want to steal somebody else's business. Yeah, you have
to be very delicate with that. So my next question to you is, now let's say there's a certain neighborhood that somebody was looking in or they want to live in. Do you have the ability to kind of say, okay, consumer, client, home buyer, future home buyer, they're like, okay, I want to live in this neighborhood. How do you help them find a house in that neighborhood? I mean, because a lot of people I suggested people being entitled. I'm like, just go knock on doors.
Well,
like, I mean, as a consumer, not as a real estate agent, but there was a house around the corner that I was thinking about buying as possibly an investment property, AKA a property that maybe some family members could rent from me so we could all live together. They slammed the door in my face, but that was okay.
Well, the problem with that, and I agree with that, I think if you want to live in a certain subdivision, a certain area, absolutely, you can try whatever it is you can. I mean, door knocking has historically been something that I do as an agent. Mm-hmm. I've done that in years past. Postcards, reach out to your title rep. Miss Miller. Hold on. You want to give your phone number, Miss Miller?
602-327-1731.
Yeah, that's Miss Ashley Miller, Great American Title. Anyway, so but they reach out to their title rep, and then they get those postcards. They can send them out.
Yeah.
Flyers, but I think at the end of the day, you want to be annoying. You don't want to go knock on doors to the point where like hey, stop bugging me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what a lot of people are getting right now. They're just getting pounced with just flyers. I think I've gotten 4 open door letters. And so if it's truly a home you've looked at online and it's like on that corner lot, if it's next to the school and next to the playground, obviously reach out to that person either in a letter, maybe a heartfelt letter, and say, hey, I'm really interested in buying your home. If you ever think about selling in the future, here's my contact information. And then that's it. You walk away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you keep being that annoying person, they're just going to shut you down and be like, oh, get away.
Well, with the reason why I was asking these questions is, we're talking about confidence is keys. And one of the things is understanding the market. And I'm reiterating myself only to press this so hard that even agents don't always have all the information. Sometimes it takes just collecting the information yourself. We can provide, with the stats and the data and all of that, but definitely doing your own recon is super important. And I'm not talking about going through Zillow. You can even reach out. I mean, even consumers, some of my friends, they reach out to me directly. You don't have to be an agent to work with or ask questions from a title company. You could be a consumer. I mean, I've played matchmaker between a consumer and an agent before. Oh, yeah. They wanted to live in this specific area and they needed to know if I had an agent in that specific area, and I did, and it just worked out perfectly. So being confident in your knowledge and knowing when they are, whether they're with you or they're just researching and speaking to other people about it, that they have like the data there. They have it ready.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really targeting an area, then you're pretty much already involving yourself. You get like this neuroses about figuring out the school and the area, and then the people there.
Do not stand outside the school and stalk it.
Especially with a white mask or a white man. Right. Don't do that. That's I've done that before. It doesn't work.
But take your dog for a walk in the neighborhood. That's a little bit more friendly. But so I want to see if anybody had commented about where I can't believe nobody's commented about where they would move to if they could work remotely anywhere. Where are all my people at?
I don't know, Miller.
I don't know. Maybe it's too early. I mean, it's 2:00.
I mean, most people are working.
Oh, okay. No,
not like us. We're just, I guess we kind of work. We're providing information. This is what we do all the time.
We do provide information. We are out there educating people to give them the confidence so they can get the keys to their house.
Booyah. So we're wrapping up the last 5 minutes of the show today. Was there any hot pressing matters or anything you wanted to talk about today, Ms. Miller, about life or housing? Anything that's come up?
Life, housing. Well, as we spoke before, I'm going to get a house in Costa Rica and Montana. No.
Oh, I think that's a goal for everybody.
I think my biggest thing that I tell even some of my best friends is walking the neighborhoods, getting to know the neighborhoods, being confident and very vulnerable and open and honest with your agent. So when your agent, like Robert, takes you out, knowing that being prepared that you are going to pay over and talking about financials is vulnerable. Financials are scary. Yeah. That conversation is scary, like even with our own CPAs but when you talk to an agent, especially if it's your friend or your brother-in-law, that's why I always suggest don't work with a family member if you're not comfortable talking about money. I mean, honestly.
That's the hard part.
Because like hard.
What I've come across too is, especially when you work with family, it's like, it's hard to be honest with them. And you have to get over that hump, and it's so hard for you to get, because I think when you're a new agent or when you have a family member that's new in this business, in the industry, they're just trying to please you. They just want a deal. Right. They just want to, say, hey, I have a house. I've been in real estate for 2 years now, and I finally got a house to sell. Yeah. And I was there too, and you become very accommodating, and sometimes you don't want to say things.
You don't want to say things. You don't want to lay down a line, and we're in a market where it's got to be black and white. Hey, this is the house. It's going for this price. Do you have $20,000 over right now? Yes or no? If you don't, we have to move on. Oh. Like, seriously, have a money conversation and be vulnerable, be confident, be open and honest with your agent. and your lender, of course. We don't want to forget about lenders, and even your title. You know, I mean, even us who, you know, in title, I don't know if a lot of you guys know what we do is we take the paperwork that your agent draws up and we take the paperwork that your lender draws up. It all comes to us. We organize it and put it all together, and then we make magic happen, and you sign your papers and you get your keys. Well, if something happens and they drop the contract and your lender's over here, and then you get to the table and you're like, oh, by the way, Robert and lender friend, I don't have that extra 20.
Yeah.
Guess what? You don't get your keys.
And you lose confidence.
And you lose confidence.
Yeah.
You do. You lose that confidence. So vulnerability, I think, confidence comes with being vulnerable and knowledgeable. And then you have the confidence to discuss these conversations. And so confidence is key.
And that's the theme of today's show. But I think at the end of the day, I think buyers, is there a market turning? Every YouTube and every other thing that I'm seeing out there, there's two mind frames. There's the mind frame that's this market's going to completely crash. And then there's a mind frame that this market's going to continue to rise up. The fact of the matter is nobody knows. Nobody can predict that. And if you could predict that, you'd probably be a multi-millionaire, and you wouldn't have to worry about this housing market because you can buy whatever the heck you want. You probably live on a boat in Costa Rica.
I'm down for that at this point.
Ashley wants her boat. So if you're at matchmaker.com, look for Ashley's profile on there. She's looking for a Costa Rica gentleman. If Taurus, Scorpio, what is your sign, Ashley?
Actually, a Libra.
Okay, but anyway, no. So I lost my train of thought. But at least if you're a buyer out there, don't fret. I mean, there's going to be an opportunity. The thing that sucks, and the thing that I'm seeing with some of my clients, is that, you know, I have one that's living in a hotel still, and it's like an extended stay, and I keep putting in contracts, and it's just like I want so much for them to contract, you know, and I can only imagine how many other people are in that situation. You know, and but at least they have a safe place to be. The thing I worry about is those families that I was talking about earlier that are on the side of the road, that are like asking for money. Those are the ones I really worry about, because they obviously don't have the resources to just even buy food. Right. And where this market is heading, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of speculation on our Friday show when we talk about finances. There's so much speculation. There's so much money built on margin. There's the fundamentals aren't there as far as like how this economy is functioning necessarily. And there's a lot of hesitation to make purchases. Investors are putting all their money in real estate because that is a good hedge against inflation, you know, and when they throw 20, 30,000 above everybody else, I mean, they're putting that investment long-term, and then they're renting those houses back out to people,
right.
and
at a price that's more than people
very extravagant. So I have somebody that I work with, and he has 3 rental homes, and he asked me to run numbers on one of the homes, and from 18 months, when he first leased the house out, he was running at about $1,600 a month. Now they're running at about $1,800 a month, and that's just 18 months later.
I want to ask, this is just an ask for any investor out there that is renting their house, is evaluate the situation. Because if you had a renter that's lived there and they've rented for that long at $1,600 and they're great tenants, don't take advantage of them and blow it up. Yeah, we're all about, you know, we have to build our wealth and our income and all of that. But again, going back to having a conversation with her, can your renters afford the extra $200? I mean, I get the rental, it's going up, but what happens if they can't? Now you're going to lose an awesome renter and try to find somebody else, which I'm sure you'll be able to, but now what does that person do?
Yeah, I think if you have a couple tenants in your home, in your rental home, and they're paying well in advance or even on time, you know, and they're taking good care of the house, I mean, personally, like, hey, keep them. Because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what's on the other side. You may get somebody from a different state, California. You may get somebody from a different state that may want to pay more. That may like throw a couple $100 extra each month extra. But at the end of the day, as long as they take care of the house and they make that payment, that's really all you care about.
That's super important to me is because a lot of these apartment complexes are doing that. They're raising their rents constantly, but investors, they have the ability to keep the rents the same. So I think with this situation that we're in, that's a conversation that needs to be had, and not just like throwing out at them like, oh, by the way, it's going to be $600 more, surprise. That's not fair, because it could be that family, that $200 is going to make or break them, and we don't want to see that. We want to keep people in their houses. or homes. We want to keep people in their homes because there's a difference between a house and a home. And I've said this before, like my home is my home. It's where I'm raising my children, where I feed them. We have family dinners and friends come over. Like it's a difference between just a house where somebody buys. That's an investment to either turn around and turn around and rent.
This is making her so mad. She's beating up the microphone.
I'm like getting tongue tied because like it's so. I'm
She's
like
beating up
passionate
the mic.
about this. Like we're just in. I just feel so. So sad for people in that situation. And what do? I don't know what to do. I give them money and give them food.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to do. So except educate, people out there on where we're at in our economy and what's happening.
Yeah, and stay informed. I mean, that's the end of it. So we're going to be, we're kind of wrapping up things here today, Miss Miller. So I appreciate you coming by again, and sharing your thoughts. And you have very strong emotions about this economy.
I do. I am. Like, even my heart is like beating fast right now. Like, hurts inside. Like, you telling me that because it is true. Right. And I'm so blessed that, I have such an awesome job and great kids. And I have a roof over my head and a reliable vehicle to get from A to B and food in my fridge. And not everyone is. And it's really hard for me to wrap my head around it. So yeah, my heart is beating really fast right now.
So as we wrap up today's show, please leave your comments, leave your questions. If you loved what you were watching, please hit that heart emoji because we love you when you love us, but we love you more when you hit that heart emoji. And then if you're on YouTube too, please hit the like button because that helps our channel out, and we're just trying to get the word out there. Robert Morales, RCA Network with
Ashley Miller with Great American Title.
The great Ashley Miller. And again, if there's any gentlemen out there with Scorpio,
no, I'm
Cancer.
Not.
No?
I have somebody. What are you talking about? Why are you always trying to pawn me off on this show?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he has that like dating voice, like that. Like, what is that voice?
Oh, hold on. Let me go back. Hey, it's Ashley Miller looking for that Scorpio out there. If you're a Costa Rican gent.
No, I am not. I keep
Just kidding. She has somebody. So.
I keep my personal life.
I know.
Personal.
It's a joke. Okay, so we're back closing up the show. So if you hit those hearts, we'll get back to you next week. Please leave those comments, and then we'll get back to them either after the show or next week.
Oh, wait, one last thing.
Oh,
I know
shit.
I always have one last thing. In the comments,
I'm trying to wrap up the show.
What would they like to hear about next week?
What would you like to hear about next week?
That's it. Now we wrap up.
Okay, now we're wrapping up. Thank you for coming. Rob Morales, RCO Network with Miss Ashley Miller. Thank you all.